The webinar tonight is discover the top five top five techniques to make more sales without selling anything. And when I developed this one, it's because I came across so many clients that were working with that just had a real anxiety about the word selling and felt they had to be selling to people. And what I'm going to be covering tonight is ways that you can get people buying from you and you don't feel like you are selling to them. And I just want to check in and make sure that you are all in the right place, that this webinar is for you. If you've ever been left doubting yourself when you've missed out on what you thought was a sure sale, I know this comes up all the time for people, that they've gone through all of the right processes, they believe, and then the person doesn't buy anything. And you're left sort of wondering why. And it's that feeling, oh, I didn't really close that very well. Or if you're in a multi-level marketing business and you don't know where the next sale's coming from, you've joined because you really like the product, but the people above you aren't necessarily particularly good at sales either, and you're left a little bit on your own trying to figure out what to do next to build a business. And when that comes, usually you start with your family and friends, and you're then just wondering, well, how do I get more clients and what do I do next to build a bigger network of people who might get to know me? If you are sick or tired of giving away too much, then you find that your prospect doesn't buy anything. So I'm going to run through ideas on how to avoid doing that as well. And particularly if you hate that trying to sell, and I emphasize that word trying here, and you feel like you're being pushy shark instead of a friend. So if any of those things really resonate with you, then you are definitely in the right place tonight. When it comes to business, this statistics where 50% of people give up in business. Now, there are statistics that will say about 46% of people fail within the first 5 years, but it's often not even just that failure. It's people give up because it just gets too hard and trying to what they believe is making a sale all the time. And I don't want you to be that person. I want you to be the one that is successful in what you do. And so that's the point of doing this, is to give you the information to exactly do that. And this is a really high statistics which blew me away. And 1 in 7 will be homeless by retirement. Now that might not necessarily be living on the street, but it might be living in someone else's house and renting a room. Getting successful at what you're doing and being, because in business, if we don't make a sale, we don't have a business. And getting successful at what you do is so important, particularly for women, because we usually don't have the same superannuation as the men who've worked without interruption have. Now, a little bit about me. I started off years ago as a checkout chick and went to an aerobic instructor, and I tell you what, that was one of the hardest sells I had. I was an aerobic instructor for 10 years, a sales rep, but for 20 years I was a general manager of a multi-million-dollar first aid supply business, and I ran a sales team of 20 people. This is the information that I'm going to be sharing with you tonight. How I help them, because they're all on commission only, how I help them become successful and how I became successful in my own business as well. So when I was working in sales, I had the highest record when I was working in retail. When I taught first the aerobics, I didn't get paid per class. I asked to be paid for how many people came to the classes, and ended up earning a lot more than most of the other instructors. I used to sell gym wear, and before the Lorna Jane days, and I'd sell over $1,000 worth of gym wear a night. When I was working as a sales rep, I worked into a territory that had no sales at all. The car that I'd been handed had all these horse racing slips in it, so you know what the person prior to me was doing, and it was commission only. I don't know how they were managing it, and I increased that business by over 800%. Well, not off zero, but once I started building it within 2 years, and was selling over $400,000 worth of product a year. And then when I moved into the GM role, I took a business that had already been running for 15 years from $3 million to $8 million in just 5 years, and was working with really the top end of town. And from there, I flicked over that one very quickly. From there, part of what's been my joy and motivates me, and this is what we all need, is something that is our motivation to do what we do. And I fortunately been to these places before this year, and hope to get back to places around the world again. But that's my motivation. So what is your motivation? I want you to think of that when you throughout tonight, and whenever you're even in a sales conversation, think about what is your motivation. I've written a couple of books now. The first one was Good Girls Do Sell, and I was a contributor with Koshy's Business Builders. They asked me to contribute some information on sales and selling, and then founded my own business, have the We Are Women podcast. So the reason I'm telling you this is just so that you're aware that I've got the background. I know what I have been doing has been successful, and this is now what I love this opportunity to share this with other people as well. And some of the people that I've worked with, it's quite amazing for me that they often start with a real fear of sales and selling, and then once they get over that and realize, and the things I'm going to share with you, once they get to know those things, their businesses take off incredibly, as did Wendy here in this story. And with Jane and Raylene as well, they managed to be successful in their multi-level marketing business, and it went from $7,500 to $25,000 a month, and managed to get a trip to Vegas after working with me 6 months later. So it's not just me with the runs on the board, it's the people I've worked with, and that's what my joy is. So we're going to look at the steps that we're going to look at tonight. I hope you've got a pen and paper, because you're going to take a heap of notes, and I know there's some people online that have done this and been through this before, and I bet you they're still going to take a lot of notes again, because it's really good to hear. If you stay to the end, obviously at the end I'm going to offer you an opportunity to work with me, and that's as expected. I'm going to give you a ton of information, and I'm going to then show you how you can work with me if that's of interest to you at all. But if you stay right to the end, and because of this I can't see who's on, I'm going to have to go back in and see who's on at the end, I will send you a electronic free version of my book. Okay, so that's my gift to you for taking the time and working with me to the end. But I'll need to stop and be patient and go and check and everything. So the first step, and pen and paper out, we're going to look at how to step out of your comfort zone, get you uncomfortable about sales, how to have just to own your own personal power when it comes to you believing in yourself and what you're doing, how to express your expertise. This is one of the most crucial steps, and it's probably the thing that I love sharing the most, is helping people get their story, their sales story, their message right, so that they can come across as that expert, and how to attract and engage their audience, how they get the right people, have the right conversation to get the right people who are then prepared to buy from you. And the fifth step we're going to look at is how to kick goals, how to follow through, and how to make that final sale. So these are the steps. There is 3 points in every step. There is a ton of information, and I'm going to race through it to make sure that we get finished in the hour. So keep up with me, and if you've got any questions, please save them up and ask me at the end, because once I get started, it sort of breaks the flow a little bit. But I know if you've got questions, I would love to answer them, because there'll be things that'll pop into your mind as we go through, and you will want to possibly ask them, but just hold off until then. Okay, cool. All right, let's get started. The first step is 3 points. Don't listen to others is the first point. We'll talk about that. Get over yourself. This is the one we go, stop believing the things that you hear, and shift to a what's in for me mindset. Let's look at. One of the things that we do when we get into business is we start listening to others, especially if you've joined a multi-level marketing, and they'll have a lot of naysayers in your life who will be trying to talk you out of what you're doing. And Wayne Dyer had this great quote. It says, "What other people think of me is none of my business." And that is exactly true. And that is a great space. If you can get into that space, that if you have a belief in what you're doing, and just try and ignore what other people have to say. And unless the people you need to listen to are the people who are more successful than you. They're the ones that can offer the best advice to you because they've been there and done that, and then they've got the runs on the board to prove it and help. The reason I put up a picture of Martin Luther King is I just want you to picture, someone as powerful as him. If he had have been in a space where he had the naysayers around him and they went, what are you thinking? What are you doing, Martin? There's no way in the world you're going to get little black children, little white children holding hands and, creating a world where there's going to be the connection between blacks and white. No way in the world. I don't even know why you're bothering talking about it. Can you imagine if he had naysayers in his life? I'm sure he did. You can imagine if he listened to them. So even when you've got that negative conversation going on, either with yourself or somebody coming in, think of Martin Luther King, or pick a picture out of someone that's successful and think about they would have had the naysayers as well. Part of it is to follow your dreams, not somebody else's. Those people that won't be there 10, 20 years down in the future holding your hand, it's your dreams, not theirs. So keep that in mind all the time, is to follow your dreams. Because I know we've got big dreams. There's things that we want to achieve in our lives. So follow those dreams. Because your self-worth is not defined by your approval rating. This is a really big one, and I work with so many, particularly with women, who believe that sense of self-worth needs to be approval by how many likes you've got on Facebook. And that, I think that even makes it even more with social media. We're looking for that approval all the time. So the second part of the step out is to get over yourself. Now, this is the things that you're thinking about yourself. And one of the reasons that we really hate sales and feel very uncomfortable or icky, as the word is, a lot of people use for sales, is because of our ego. When I spend the day working with my clients, we work through a whole lot of things that why people may not do cold calling or why they might be uncomfortable with sales. And nearly everything starts with an I. I don't feel comfortable. I don't want people to dislike me. I don't want to bother people. And that means that it's all about you, and we don't want it about you. We want it about the client. So get over yourself. If you've got something that people will love, that you can help people improve their lives, that you can help people improve their business, then the reason you're not going to tell them is because of your ego and not because of what you can do to share with that person. So this is a really important part. So getting over that feeling and just going, you know what? I've got a great product and I can change people's lives or change people's businesses or make things better for people. So I am going to tell them about it. Not pushy sales, but I'm going to be happy to tell people about it. And the third part for the step one is shift to the what's in it for me. So WIIFM is the best radio station in town when you are in sales. Now, when I'm talking about me is not me. Me is your client. So, and they are thinking all the time, what is in it for me? As I said earlier on, I taught aerobics for 10 years, worked in gym, worked with training people who wanted to get fitter. I know that industry pretty well. And what I found is most people don't go to the gym to get fit. They really don't. Getting fit is a byproduct, and getting strong and healthy and well, they're all amazing byproducts of going to the gym. But most of the time we're going to go to the gym is because we want to look good in our clothes and we want to look good in the mirror. We want to feel good about ourselves by looking good in the mirror. And even more so, we want other people to look at us to go, oh my gosh, you're looking amazing. Wow, you've done really well. That's why we might go to the gym. So what you are selling and what people are buying are two different things. And figuring out the what's in it for me and what that is for the client is such a vital part of what you need to be able to express well in your business. If you can do it in one word, that's even better. But if you get it right, then all of your marketing can work around that. So what is in it for your client? What are they buying from you? Now, step two, personal power. We want to get really clear on what we want where we want to go and what we want. Set points, if you haven't heard about set points, I'll tell you about that. And the concept of perception is projection. this is where we come into our own personal power when it comes around sales and selling. Being very clear on what you want means that you can hit the target rather than just firing off arrows in every direction. So getting clear on a whole lot of levels, getting clear on what do you want to build? I mean, that's a question for everyone in their own business. What do you want to build, or what do you want to create? And what do you want to achieve is something as well. How do you want to do it? Getting clear on how you're going to do that. And then within the sales, how are you going to do that within sales as well? And being able to answer those questions is vital to getting clear on what you're doing. And when you're clear on what you want, then you will stand out from the crowd, and you'll be prepared to do things a little bit differently than everybody else. I work with a lot of people who are particularly in the bookkeeping accountants range, and so when you maybe you look at somebody's LinkedIn page as a bookkeeper, they all look the same. Now we want to be clear on who your target audience is, what conversation you can have with them, and how you can create excuse me, and how you can stand out because you are clear. So we're looking a little bit further at your unique selling proposition, but this is what we're starting to think about it, is that what do you want to create and where do you want to go? And when we're talking about that, we really need to be talking about setting goals as well. So 83% of people don't set goals. They just aimlessly go through their business and have dreams, possibly, and hopes and good wishes. But if you don't set goals, then it's not a goal. And 14% have a plan, but they don't write them down. They might have something in their mind and think where they want to go. And 3% have their goals written down. So only 3% of people have their goals written down. I know most of my clients will have their goals written down because that's something, the session we do at the start of every single year is write the goals. This year the goals changed a little bit. We've had 6 months to modify everything that we've maybe set out for, but at least if we're clear about it, or then we rewrite them and we figure out what we want to do a bit differently. But you have a lot more chance of succeeding if you write your goals down. And on those statistics, there was a study done by Harvard, and that was part of their study, and they found that the 3% of people who wrote goals was something like 10% more successful than the 14% who didn't write them, and then they were hugely successful against the ones that didn't have goals. You've got to know where you're going. You've got to know where you want to get to. That's absolutely so vital. So set points. There's a great book by Marcia Smirnoff called Happy for No Reason. She talks about set points of happiness, and that some people are just happy and others aren't. We have these set points within life, and we can have them for our finances. I mean, I am sure you've read where wealthy people have lost all their money and they made it back again, or poor people have won a lot of money and then before very long they're poor again. They have this set point, and we have this ourselves. It can be changed. The set points can be changed in how you want to create them. So if you want to create something different in the way you approach sales, then there are techniques to be able to learn to do that. But you need to be aware of them in the first place, that you have an expectation or a set point, and what you perceive you will project. So if you are expecting that when you go out for a conversation with somebody, a sales conversation, if your perception is, well, this is not going to be successful, you will project that as well, possibly without you even being aware that you are doing. But what you perceive, what you in yourself, you will definitely project out. And people will read it. They may not be able to identify it, but subconsciously they'll figure there's something wrong. I am sure that you have been to a networking event. There's something on. You're on here tonight, and you're listening and participating in your listening with it. I hope so. Or you've been to a networking event and you've gone, oh my gosh, I'm going out to have the best night, and everything just seems to fall into place. It all goes well because of the attitude that you've gone out with, and you can't believe how many good contacts you've made. Whereas if you have the same sort of feeling, oh, I'm just going to push myself to do this, and then when you do, you then have this, nothing goes well, nothing goes right. You don't meet the right people, you don't have the right conversation, and it's all about your perception and what you are projecting. Because when you are projecting that, I am confident, I have got something really good to offer, I've got something that people are just going to love, it's going to change people's life, I'm going to have a conversation with people, then if you're in that right mode and you're thinking, I'm going to meet all the right people I need to, then definitely that is what's going to happen, and you will project that, and people will want to be around you. It makes a ton of difference. They really want to be around you. I love this picture of this lion and the cat. It's always been a favorite one of mine, because it's, how do we see ourselves? What do we see when we look in the mirror, and what are we expecting to see? Uh, who are we within our business, and who are we showing up as and with our business? Because when you know that, there is limitless opportunities and possibilities for you. All right, number 3, express your expertise. We're going to look at how to tell stories. It's one of my favorite things to do when you're just to be able to build connection. We all love stories. Define your USP. I touched on that a little bit before, and how to stand out from the crowd. Well, let's look at these. Telling stories. I'm working with somebody this week who's got quite amazing stories from her career. We're putting together her presentation, her webinar, and her half-day training program over 3 days. And it starts with telling stories. First thing I have to do is find her story and pull that out, and then hone it so she can then deliver something that people are going to be interested in, pay attention to, and motivate them to take action on it. Because we love stories. I mean, you'll probably remember a few of the anecdotes that I finish here today. You've taken notes, I hope, so you'll remember the presentation because of the notes. But in the back, in the front of your mind, you will remember the anecdotes that I tell you. The Martin Luther King story, maybe, but you'll remember those because we remember stories. They are so powerful. It is quite interesting. I've been telling this story for a long time, and then I ran into the lawyer that I tell it about the other day, and it was really cool to be able to acknowledge somebody because it's a great story. She didn't. This particular lawyer is quite amazing. She's really absolutely caring. And what she did was, her client was having issues with the bank. So she went to the bank with the client, stood in line for ages, waited, and then waited till they could speak to somebody. And this was an elderly client, and worked with that client with the bank. Now, when she told that story, she didn't think that was anything unique, that was anything in particular. And everyone in the rooms just was stunned when she first told it, because it's not your expectation of what a corporate lawyer would do. But that story is something I use now to emphasize the point of telling stories, but it's also a story that she can use and tell it in a particular way so that people recognize how she deals with people and treats people as a lawyer, and not just a billing number. When you are speaking from stage, knowing how to tell a story will definitely build that connection with the audience quicker than it will do by making points and giving them information. We've learned to love stories from childhood, where we were read stories and fascinated with the characters. So knowing how to tell a story that you can build the story around particular characters is so important as well, and has to be given for a public speaker. Your unique selling proposition. What makes you unique, and what makes you stand out from every other person in your market? Is there something? And I guarantee if I spent just half an hour with you, I would find what is makes you unique compared to everybody else around you that's doing the same thing. We all have it. We don't. When I first started presenting, a dozen or so years ago, because I haven't had, a major trauma or drama in my life, I thought, oh, I don't really have a story. It's nothing interesting. And then I started pulling out little anecdotes and little stories and realized there's absolutely a lot there. You can find stories every single day. I mean, that's what comedians do, don't they? They find something that's happening around us every day and bring humor out of that as well. So there's stories, we've all got stories. It just may not be, a War and Peace novel type of story, but there might be small stories. I was working with this lady who was multi-level marketing selling isogenics. And she said, haven't got anything unique. It's just what I do. And there's all these other isogenics people out there. Anyway, after we were talking, I found out that she had, the number's gone out of my head now, but it was something like 15,000 followers on TripAdvisor. Now, for one, I didn't know you could have followers on TripAdvisor, but she used to do a lot of travel, and then she would comment on all these other people's travel and say, yes, apparently you can get followers on TripAdvisor. And so she had all these people following her. And I mean, for isogenics and working with travel and hiking and things like that, we just built up an amazing story around her. And that what made her stand out from every other person doing isogenics was that her uniqueness. So figuring out what makes you unique and can stand out is so important. And how do you stand out from the crowd? That's what we want to do. That USP is there to stand out from the crowd. And whether it's using, having a great photo of you on your business card, that's a given. Yeah, need a photo of yourself on your business card if you're still using business cards. You need great photos on your website, and it needs to be you as well. That's what people want, or videos, or things that you're doing. You have the image of you because you are unique as well. And how can you be that light where people will notice? And knowing how to do that well is such an important part of having a successful business. The reason I popped up this picture of the 10 out of 10 is I read this book, and I'm pretty sure the book was called Slippers. I might have had a little bit longer title. And the author he was actually one-time mayor of Auckland, and he owned a couple of shoe stores, and he told the story of a plumber. And the reason that was called Slippers was because this plumber, every time he went to work at somebody's house, he would take off his work boots at the door, and he carried slippers with him. And he also carried softening things on the bottom of his toolboxes and things so he wouldn't damage people's furniture and their home, and treated their homes with respect when he was working inside. And that just created a 10 out of 10 experience for the homeowners. And you can bet, that's why he got booked so much, because people would tell other people about it, and it was something unexpected. And when the store owner, of the shoe store owner, worked with his staff, it said, we're not trying to sell shoes. We're trying to give a 10 out of 10 experience for the people who come in to buy shoes. And with that, the business really took off, because people switched from selling something to making it an amazing experience when people came into the stores, because people want to come back. They'll come back to you if they've had a great experience. Number 4, how do we attract and engage our audience? Well, we need to know how to build rapport. That's a big given one. Figure out why people buy and how to overcome objections. So we're looking at rapport and building a group of raving fans. I mean, that's the best people that will sell anything for you, are the people that have worked with you and love what you do, and building rapport with them. And then one of the easiest ways to do that is through pacing, matching, and mirroring. If you haven't been on my website, I've got an ebook on there. You can download that. It's free, and it covers a fair bit of stuff in this. It's a bit more content on that. So the website is janeenvosper.com, and download the free book and go through that. But when we're talking pacing, we're pacing with somebody. It's the speed they speak at or the speed that they move at. Matching is matching someone's movements or matching their words, and mirroring is the opposite to matching, where you're actually mirroring somebody as well with their actions. 3 of the easiest ways to build rapport, but to do it very subtly and to do it from a space of authenticity. You're not trying to manipulate anybody. You're just trying to make people feel comfortable with you because you want to build rapport with them. Now you look at Will and Kate here, and if you'll see this often, they're very much in rapport. They've got the same actions all the time, and they speak with very similar words as well. But they are here, they're matching their movements as to how they're addressing. I mean, look at even the hands turned over. Maybe they're trained to do that. I don't know. But it was a great photo to sort of say, here, this is what matching's all about. And if you look at this couple here, they're matching each other, and the other ones here are mirroring each other. So if they turned around and faced each other, that would be like looking at a mirror. So that's the difference when I'm talking about matching and mirroring. I've seen this done very badly. Having worked and trained in sales and particularly in my GM role, I used to have lots of sales reps come into me and trying to sell me products, and they would try the matching and mirroring very, very badly. And it's not, as I said, not something to manipulate. It's just something to make people feel very comfortable on. But being aware and learning how to get good at it and observe it. I think observing is the first part, but it definitely does help you build rapport. But one of the best ways to build rapport is through the words you use. Now, I bought, we bought, solar for the roof. We were looking at solar. Oh, that's a different story. Oh, yeah, I'll tell you the story. One of the guys that I did a whole lot of training with years and years ago, he was brilliant at rapport building, spiral dynamics. It's another topic I teach on, and a lot of subjects around presenting. So I worked with Roger for quite a bit, and he was telling a story about he got married again in his 50s, and his new wife's brother was, lived way out west, and just lived on properties, and was coming into Melbourne for the first time to meet Roger. And when he's rung through, Roger's answered the phone and it's gone through the whole business thing, at his normal speed and answering. And I won't say his full name, but yeah, Roger here. And the brother's gone, "G'day." So Roger knew that the brother was coming into town, and he's just gone back to him, "G'day." And he said, "Liz there?" He's gone, "Not now." He's gone, "Oh, so when she'll be back?" Roger's gone, "About 2. Righto. I've hung up. Anyway, he rings back at 2 o'clock, gets Liz, and Liz answers the phone, and he's gone. I said, "Geez, that Roger's a good bloke." It's so easy to build rapport when you're thinking about the rhythm of voice, tonality, the timbre of voice, volume, tempo, the emotional content, pitch, the intensity. I worked on the phone when I moved into the office. From repping into the office, I did a lot of my sales stuff on the phone and listening to how a person's speaking. If you're a quick speaker, then slow down. If someone's slow, if they're a fast speaker, speed up. Again, you're not doing it to manipulate. You're just getting so that they feel comfortable. Subconsciously, there'll be a connection there. So on the phone, 86% of our communication is all about tone. So thinking about that, what are you matching what people are doing, or are you just staying in your own place, doing your own thing? Which is fine, but you're not going to build rapport as easy. All right, number 4, why will people buy? Because they need stuff. That's probably one of the simplest things to do, is figure out needing. The reason I've got a photo here of really nice line boots is because a few years ago, Aldi had all these snow boots for sale. Now, I live in Queensland, and it was coming into winter, but I still figured I didn't need snow boots and didn't buy them without really thinking about that we were traveling to the Northern Hemisphere in January, which is very, very cold. And My husband had other warm boots that he'd had for years when he used to go hunting and doing things. So his feet were fine, but mine were freezing the whole time we were traipsing around in the snow and minus 30 degrees. And I really wish I had the snow boots. So what did I do when I got back and the next winter came along and they were selling snow boots? I bought snow boots. I have not been back to the Northern Hemisphere in January. It's minus 30 degrees, but I now have snow boots. So I created my own need. Since people will sometimes not know what they need, but until they need it. People will buy from you because they trust you. There's lots of ways to build that trust. It's through maybe having a webinar like this and giving away a lot of content and information. Maybe it's from your social media posts, meeting people, building rapport with people. But there's things that we've got to do to get people out there to trust us. The other reason they'll buy, and the biggest reason, is they see value in it. And this is why particularly this direct sales mastery program is so popular, because people see the huge value in it and make that commitment to help themselves become better at sales through that program. And I don't have any hesitation in talking about that at all, because that's exactly what it is, a great deal of value. But what have you got of value that people will buy from you? That's the main reason people buy, because they value what you offer. And this is an important factor to know. Features will tell, but benefits sell. Don't talk about the features of your product. Talk about the benefits. Remember earlier on that what's in it for me? What is about your product that will make life easier and simpler for that person? They want to know what is it specifically for them that will help them. Some of the questions you could ask when you're trying to find out exactly what is in it for them is, could you tell me more about that? And you stop and listen. Remember, we have 2 ears, 1 mouth, and use it in that proportion. How do you think things have got to this point? You get some great answers with these questions. How soon can we meet to discuss the problem, and how can we best respond to it? Using how questions and what questions. Why questions are okay. Sometimes they're a little bit strong and people are a bit confronted with them, but how and what questions, they're all open questions, but they are softer and people tend to respond to those questions and quite happy to answer those questions as well, especially a how and what question. But asking open questions where you're going to get an answer rather than just a closed yes or no. So what questions could you ask that are fit in with what you do and with your business that are open? Number 4, overcoming objections. The reason that we have difficulty overcoming objections is because we don't know what's in it for the person. If you've got a product and you haven't asked all the right questions, you've just been talking all the time and telling people about the product without asking the right questions, then you won't know how to overcome the objections, because you don't know what the problem is and how your product can help them. One of the ways that, when I do the full day training on the sales mastery, 1 day sales mastery workshop, is we've spent a bit of time on spiral dynamics. It's one of my favorite topics when it comes to looking at analyzing personalities. I do other topics as well about personality profiling, but spiral dynamics makes it easy for you to understand where a person's sitting within the spiral, so you know what is most important to them. Is it most important for them to save money or save the planet? It's probably 2 easy questions. And asking the right questions to find that out is so important, and knowing how to do it and know where they're sitting within that spiral as well. And that we spent a couple of hours training on that, but it's the simplest. Once you got the questions right and you get the right answers, you will be able to make the right sales call without having any of the objections, because you've understood and had the right conversation. What you need to know is what's keeping your clients awake at night. What's their problems? And usually there's 3 major problems, and then your product's got 3 solutions. And there's a whole section on this in the program and also in the day training program about figuring out what somebody's main problem is. Because if you don't know their problem, you can't address it with your product. And step number 5 is to kick goals, because we want to be able to pitch and be successful in our pitching. There's lots of opportunities when we're at events that we get to stand up and talk about our business. We want to be able to embrace how we follow up and then take action, because the smart people take action. The ones that second guess themselves are the ones that are left behind. Now, this is what I have found this particularly since we've come out of COVID, particularly in Queensland. I know there's people from all over on this call, that people have been going, you know what, I've got to get good at selling because I've missed out on the last 6 months, and I realize that there's things I need to know. So that's, those people are taking action on that. But there's whatever is in your business where you think, I need to know how to do this better, learn how. Because you continue learning and you'll continue getting more successes. But learn from somebody who knows how to do it and has done it well and has the runs on the board. That's another really important factor. Pitching. Pitching is 3 simple things that you can use to create a great pitch. 3 simple points. The first question is, why this? Why is so you're then if you ask yourself this, why this, then that's the first part of your pitch. And it could be along the lines of, when people think about, I'll work around my product because that just makes it simpler while I'm here talking about it. It is, how people get into business and they're really good technicians, but when it comes to the sales process, they find it very, very uncomfortable. And before long, they're back working for a boss again instead of working for themselves because they just weren't making sales even though they're really good at their product. That could be something along that. Could be the why this. Why you? Well, having worked in teaching high-performing sales teams for 20 years, I've really got to understand how to know how to ask the right questions so that we can make the sales and close the deals. I'm just making this up on the spot, as you can hear. And why now? Now more than ever, since we've come out of COVID, businesses are really needing to get great at sales, and that's why people are coming to me for that. So you can see how, basically that's very simple pitch, but if you can follow those 3 simple points, keep it in simple language, and then the 4th point is have a call to action. Tell people what you want them to do. But that makes pitching so much more simple. Embrace the follow-up. A lot of people get really hung up back in their heads again when it comes to doing the follow-up. I don't want to bother people. I don't want to be annoying. I don't want them to think that that they won't like me. Again, you're back onto that I again. To follow up well, you need a system. And in the program, there's a really good system of a whole list of things to be able to do. And once you've got a system, you're not going to be annoying. But there's a few things that you can do that I've got listed here. Is ask permission to follow up. It's okay. Do you mind if I give you a call, in a couple of days' time, just to see where you're going with it? Most people will say no. Most people will say yes. Sorry, not no. Agree what time to follow up, and make an interesting follow up as well. And rather than just saying, "Oh, I'm just following up," call. When you call or email the person, saying, "I know when we spoke, you were really keen to get started on this." Whatever it is, or reword it. But there's in the follow-up system that I have, it's got really good step-by-step on how to do that so you don't become a pest. And we put solar on the roof a dozen years ago. I had 3 solar companies come out after hours. The guys were working on commission. They're pretty much the same. It's quite expensive. It was before all the solar prices dropped down. And so it was a big investment, and one company followed up, just one. So they got the $12,000 sale because I just thought they cared. The others obviously hadn't cared. They'd gone to all the trouble to come out to after hours, spend a couple of hours here, went through everything, but they never followed up. And it's just such a dumb thing not to do. You'd leave money on the table if you don't follow up. That's the most important part of your sales process, is to follow up, but know how to do it well. 44% of salespeople give up after the first follow-up call, and the average salesperson only makes 2 attempts. Are you average or below average or above average? 80% of sales require 5 follow-up phone calls or more. How much follow-up are you doing? And you know what? 20% of people don't make a decision for 12 months. I was selling defibrillators to a particular customer, and it was hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales. I followed up every fortnight for 12 months. We got the sale, because if I hadn't, they would have forgotten about me, and they would possibly could have gone to somebody else. And that's what happens when you don't follow up. And taking action, and as I was saying, taking action is that's where the magic happens. When you go, you know what, I'm going to do this. This is going to make a big difference to me. I am absolutely going to do this. You need to take action. I love this picture of the clock. We think we have plenty of time to do things. And I know I've been mucking around. My website is pretty good, but it's just had some errors in it. I've been mucking around trying to fix things myself. You know what? I don't know what I'm doing. I've got a basic idea, and it just takes me ages to do things. And I'm thinking, how silly is that? Well, I should get an expert in, because I'm better off doing what I do well in the time I've got. And that's what happens with every part of your business, is looking at what you need to know how to do, or what you need to get someone else to do for you. And unfortunately, sales is something you need to do yourself. Sales is something in your own business you've got to get good at yourself. And you've got to learn to love it, and knowing how to love it. But there's formulas, there's processes, there's systems, and when you got that down pat, and as I said, as long as you believe that you're sharing information and not selling, you're really solving people's problems. That's what you're doing. And be able to set goals. And this is the formula that I use. You may use the SMART, S-M-A-R-T, goal setting formula. I like this C.R.E.A.T.E one. There's a little extra part in it. The goals are clear and concise. They are realistic. If you've never been a snow skier before, there's a good chance that you won't win the downhill. Ecological, this is the extra part that I like in here, that it's good for you, it's good for the environment, it's good for the people around you. As now, when you write your goals down, and you do it as if it's right now, it's happened. So it is now 31st of December 2020, and continue on for that goal, and knowing how to write that out well, and towards what you want. You don't want to lose 5 kilo, you want to be 5 kilo lighter and put your weight down if that's what you want. And what evidence do you have? If it's losing weight, you're standing there looking at the scales. It's now 31st of December 2020, and I am looking at the scales, and I see that the 5 kilo less than what I weighed. Or you might actually it's better you put a particular dollar value or your particular weight on it, or what you do. But there's a way to write that out too, a huge formula. Okay, a ton of information. As I said, I've got some things to show you that offer you to how you can work with me. And for those, and I will check in a little while to see who's on, and I'll send you a copy of the book. What we've done is knowing how to step out, getting uncomfortable, having that own personal power yourself, and believing in yourself and your product enough that you're going to tell people about it, how to express your expertise in what you do and how the words that you use, attract and engage the right audience. You've got the right pitch, you know how to deliver it, and how to kick goals, how to take action, how to create the goals, and to achieve those, and to follow up. That's really, really important. So all good there. I hope you got lots of questions at the end, which we'll come to that very shortly. And a few questions about what we've done. So what are you going to apply immediately in your business? Again, write that down if you've got the questions, and we'll come to that. So what are you going to do to feel comfortable about asking for a sale? That is another question. So what are you going to do to feel comfortable about asking for a sale? Right, the program that I've been talking about all the way through is called the Direct Sales Mastery Program, and I know there's some people that are on here that are on that program already and have been working through it. And what you're going to receive is step-by-step instruction on how to implement the strategy just right now. So you can take this now and you can sort of smash the last part of 2020 and go, this is I'm sick of what's been going on. This is my next step, and this is what I'm going to do. And the great thing about the Direct Sales Mastery Program is that you are able to build a thriving business sooner, and really do create the life that you want. It makes a difference when you know that sales and business is coming in the door because you've got the right processes yourself in place. And what you receive on this program, there are 7 modules in the program. Each one's about a half-hour recording on each of those modules. Basics of Selling Success, where you just really start at the bottom. Some of the questions will seem very, very, very basic, but when you've got that, you will be able to then create that confident selling mindset and be able to enjoy the sales process. Standing out from the crowd, what makes you unique from everyone around you, and I guarantee you're going to find some stuff. How you can create that winning formula and create the business that you want to create because you know how to make the sales within it, and build a whole base of raving fans, the people that will be talking about you because you have given them that 10 out of 10, and you know how to build that 10 out of 10 brand, and that they will then trust you, and then they tell more people. And the thing I think out of anything, as I said, if you're not following up properly and you don't have a system for follow-up, you're leaving money on the table. And knowing how to do that well, if for nothing else within the modules, and I know you don't get that till the 7th module unless you jump ahead, but it's an absolute vital part, as the rest of it. All of that, if you multiply that out, it adds up to over $2,000 worth of product within those modules itself. But I want to talk to you about other things that are part of the program as well. You get full support from me. This is probably one of the biggest opportunities, is you get 3 one-hour Zoom sessions with me, and I'll help you guide through the program. That's one-on-one with me. Now they are normally, now spend an hour with me is $297 every single day of the week. That's what people pay to do that. You get that for free as part of the program, and you get 12 months access. And some people never email. I've got others that email questions all the time, and I'll get back within 24 hours with answers to their questions. So all of that is valued at $1,391. So just been going through it really, really quickly. You get the 7 modules, you get the 3 one-hour Skype sessions, but Zoom sessions with me, and the 12 months email access. And if I've added that up correctly, it adds up to $3,470 worth of product that is yours on the program. And again, it's the people that work with me are the ones that tell the biggest story, and they're the ones that will be that share their stories with me. And if you go to my website, I've got a heap of testimonials, video testimonials as well, from people who've worked with me in the past. And again, this was Jane and Ray. They just did amazing results and got all these awards in Vegas. Incredible job they did, and just by applying what they did, and it's not just getting into the program, it's getting in the program and taking action and following it through. That is the most important part. But I've got some other bonuses, because we do, when we run these things, and we get extra bonuses as well. You get a hard copy of if you're in Australia, you get a hard copy of my book, Good Girls Do Sell. It's what I'm giving you as a soft copy tonight for staying on, but I will send you a hard copy in the program. And if you will also get 3 months free mentoring program subscription. So every single week, you're going to get a coaching video from me, and there'll be all little topics of how to overcome objections, how to follow up, all little extra bonuses. So every single week for 3 months, you will receive that from me. And that's valued at $297 as well. And you get the Sales Mastery Workbook and Personalized Action Plan. And I know some people have said to me they've never seen an action plan laid out like this, and just made it so simple to achieve the results that you've wanted. So that all adds up to that, I hope, because that's what I said. So you get the 7 modules, you get the 3 one-hour Skype sessions. Oh, it says 4 months unlimited email access. You actually get 12 months, so we'll work on 12 months. You get my book, your mentoring program, and the action plan at $4,231. But you're not going to pay that, because you've been on enough of these webinars and you never pay that much. But I've got super, super deal for you. If you want to get good at sales, there's a few ways to do it. And I've done some of these. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars learning what I know, and through the companies paying for it for me, or for myself investing in it, because I've realized without sales, you don't have a business if you're not good at it. So you can get expensive companies to pay monthly fees to get good at it, or you spend years learning. It's only taken me 40 years in business. We're good. But that's what I share with you. Oh, and then look, really, if you were doing it, you'd already be doing it. And if you're doing it, I congratulate you and recognize how well you do. If you're doing really well, good on you, because that's the important part when it comes in business, is making sales. But usually there's no comparison. We don't want to be paying thousands and thousands of dollars, and you're definitely not going to pay that much. The reason I'm giving that offer is because, again, my fans, my people who've done the courses, are the best ones to speak out for me, and they keep sharing the word. And I'm going to give you one extra special bonus that you don't get anywhere else except on a webinar. It's not if you go online, you can buy everything that I've already offered you for the price I'm going to show you. If you go onto my website, it's there. But you do not get this other bonus if you buy online. You only get this on the webinar tonight. That is the only time you get it. And so what do we got? All right, so all of that we just said is $597. So what was it? $4,231 in value. So the modules, working with me directly, everything is only $597. But I do want to add this extra thing that I was talking about, because you can buy that online for that price. But the extra mega bonus is a one-day sales mastery workshop in a room with me, with about half a dozen other people, and we will work on your business and create the best sales story and really dig down into things that you have never ever considered before. Oh, I've got it. Oh, sorry, I was going to start. It's not six. The workshop's valued at $697. Again, if you go to Eventbrite, you will find that on Eventbrite for $697. And I have people in the last workshop I had people in the room that had paid that because they've just gone on Eventbrite and found it. And then I had people in the room that were doing it for free because they'd bought into the Direct Sales Mastery Program. So if you figure that is super value, and it's something that you want to do, so you can have a risk-free trial, fine. 30 days to look at the program and go, you know what, that's not for me, then really happy to return your money. No problem whatsoever. Never had to, but that's there. It's an offer, because sometimes that might just happen. Life might change. So you can get all of that, and including the one-day workshop, which is $697. So it all adds up now to $4,928 in value. You can get all of that for $597. You just need to go to directsalesmastery.net and it'll take you straight to your PayPal page. If you want a payment plan, then get in contact with me. I've emailed everybody the link, or I've given you the link on Meetup. And you'll need to do that tonight, though, because it's just available, because it's only 10 places. You can imagine, if I'm working with people one-on-one, I can't have hundreds of people in this course. I can only do it for the first 10 people that apply. And so if you really want it and it's an issue with payment, then get in touch with me, please. But if $597 and the workshop is in November, the one-day workshop. And if you aren't in Brisbane, guess what? It doesn't matter, because I have people that have Zoomed in for the day. We had that on the last one. It is the 19th of November. Thursday the 19th of November is the one-day workshop. If you can't make that, we've got one happening in early next year as well. But it'd be great if you can do the 19th of November. If you're not in Brisbane, it doesn't matter. You can Zoom in, and we had somebody Zoom in from Sydney last time, and it was great having them in the room, and they really didn't miss out on the value at all. So what I'm going to go now is, if anyone has got any questions, can you pop them in the chat, please? And that would be very helpful. And let me have a look. And I know I'm just going to open up one person and see what's happening there. So any questions? I can see who's still on, which is great. I know who I'll take a photo of all of that and send the soft copy of the book to them. And any any questions at all? And I'm just going to, cool, Janice, can you hear me? Can you talk? I can't hear you. That was the only thing. I was going to open you up. No.
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, good. I just knew that I'd said there's a few people on here that were doing the particular course, so I just wanted you to say it's awesome, really.
Very good.
No, I just remember when you first started on it, you went, oh my gosh, I've never come across this information before, so I thought that would be useful for you to be there.
I will say that it's good to get a refresher because life does get in the road. So, yes, it was good to do another refresher of a lot of it, Janeen, so thank you.
Yep, very good. Okay, and thank you very much for that, Janice. All right, so again, if this is something that you think that it's really going to help my business, I really do need to, bite the bullet and get good at sales and increase the business that way, then jump onto that directsalesmastery.net now, and you will be able to start tomorrow. Absolutely. So any questions in the chat? No. And Carrie's jumped off. Cool. All right, good. All right, great response, everybody. Everyone must have covered everything. There's no questions in there. And I will leave that up there, and anyone can jump onto that in the next 10 and join in. Thank you. Yep, thank you. Good. All good. Everyone's great. All right. So you've got another 15 minutes to jump on and take up, because remember, you get that 1-day training with me as well, which is valued by itself at $697. And you will be blown away at the amount of value. Have a great night, everybody, and we will hopefully see you online again soon. All right. Bye.